Hello everyone, this is Crota giving you game 2 in the series between Prodigy and Ladabaz here on GSL's Belshire Beach, the winter edition. Yes, snow maps were introduced, and there we are playing on Belshire Beach in the middle of winter. Snow is falling as this game does get underway. Colors this time around have been swapped. Prodigy as the red Terran player here on the bottom right hand side of the map. Meanwhile, Ladabaz, the blue Protoss player, who I will most likely just refer to as Blue Protoss, not Blue Brotoss, Blue Protoss, as I'm not quite exactly sure how to pronounce his name, and I don't want to butcher it out of respect for these players. Now, game one, it really felt like Prodigy hit a bit of a timing, and it got a little bit lucky with his units. The Metavacs pretty much went up against an empty base, was able to take down the robotics facility right as a Colossus was about to make its way out. The Stalkers were there just moments ago, and that is how a lot of StarCraft 2 works. If you're out of position in just a matter of seconds, things do unravel very, very quickly. You really got to be on top of things. That's one of the things that makes StarCraft 2 so much more faster paced than, say, Warcraft 3. Warcraft 3, if you're 5 seconds late, it's still salvageable. But in StarCraft 2, if you're 5 seconds late, or if you're 10 seconds late, it is a complete disaster. And many times, if your units are out of position and getting attacked. Barracks being established off over here. Not quite sure what Prodigy wants to do with the front door. A probe is going to come in, take a look around, does see that there is a refinery, and knows that most likely some variation on tech play will be used. The probe now making its way down, gonna perhaps hide around, make sure that the barracks is at least being established, as we now see the SCV making its way out to do a bit of scouting. Now, this version of Belshire Beach, I'm not quite sure if there was another version that had a second ramp off over here, but a probe now hiding itself behind here, and we'll see if the blue Protoss is able to execute some sort of gateway strategy to deal a lot of damage. The probe trying to sneak back in, but the Marine looks like it is going to be 2 steps ahead. The probe now attempting to run away. A reactor being established, and the Marine attempting to try to chase after this probe, and it looks like the probe will fall. SCV is faster than that Zealot. Poor Zealot cannot really run faster than an SCV can, I guess, hoverfly, as the SCV does return back home. Marine now going to hold that top ground here. A bunker should be established if we are going into an expansion, as we are adding on a tech lab on another barracks off to the north. Very interesting strategy by a Prodigy to actually get a barracks over here, and now he is getting that concussive shell. This is a common strategy where you go barracks first, reactor on the first, and then follow it up with a concussive shell. I'm curious as to how Prodigy wants to continue this, as it normally is almost a 2 racks timing with Metavacs and normally level 1 weapons upgrade. There are Marines ready in position to shoot down any units that try to sneak their way in, and we'll see whether or not this early aggression by Prodigy will work out. And it looks like Prodigy is not relenting in his training of units so far. Currently is, or it looked like he was supply block. Not quite sure why he's not using the reactor down here. Currently only training 1 Marine at a time. 2 Marauders off over here. The Marauders are hidden to make sure that they are not revealed yet, as I don't think he knows about that additional tech lab. You can see more Marauders just going to continue to be added. Stim now being researched, and the Marines and the Marauders are going to look to put some pressure here, and this is a very wide ramp. If Ladabaz or the blue Protoss is just not careful, if he's not ready for this, he's not going to be able to really wall off the entire section. But it looks like Stalkers are retreating, so 2 Stalkers are now retreating here. There are Marines, there are Marauders, and now even more Marines and Marauders being added to this group. So 3 Stalkers going up against this group of Marines and Marauders, and the Marauders quickly find the Stalker. However, the Stalker looks like it will be able to run away. Are the Marines going to be able to push into this location here? It looks like there's going to be an engagement here, and there is a Guardian Shield. So a nice use of Guardian Shield in order to make sure that the Marines' effectiveness do fall drastically. Stalker's now once again going to re-engage. More slow damage. One Zealot does get taken out. A lot of damage absorbed by that Zealot there. Who's going to engage in this next battle? The Guardian Shield no longer available as the Marines now fighting up against some of those probes. The Marauders dealing a lot of damage, but the Marines really focusing down some probes, and Prodigy getting a bit unlucky. Harvester word count 6 kills to 1 now. That was the initial scouting probe there as the Marines and the Marauders are still battling it out. That Marauder needs to be very careful. And now the Stalkers were chasing after the Marauder, as we'll see whether or not one Stalker does go down. Yes, one Stalker goes down. A second Stalker goes down as the units are going to get focus fired. And there they go. It is now 26 to 26. Harvesters I really don't think that Prodigy got as much as he needed from that engagement, as we are now going into a robotics facility. I could have sworn the robotics facility was being warped in earlier. Perhaps it was canceled for a warp in on some Stalkers. If that is the case, a very smart and wise choice, as we now see a new round of Marines and Marauders on the move. Stim has now been completed. Orbital Command about to finish upgrading. Reactor about to finish on the factory. We should be getting a swap here in just a moment, as Sentries, Stalkers, and Zealots hold the top position on this ramp. Only 3 Marauders in this group. 1 Marine going to try to walk up this ramp. That is not a very safe engagement at all. Simply too many units. 16 food versus, I believe, what is that, 6 and 5? So yeah, 6 and 11 food. That is not going to be a good exchange at all, as Prodigy now establishes his natural expansion. Harvester count 31 to 39, still in favor of Protoss, but mules are being called into play. We'll see what these players are going to do for their third base. The third base is a bit a ways, a little bit farther away, harder to try to defend, as we now see Marines and Marauders looking for any proxy pylons inside this position over here. Now, Prodigy does have map control, holding both Xel'Naga towers and also having a factory here. The factory will reveal sight on any units. It gives a little bit more than the Xel'Naga tower normally would, as the Observer still keeping track and keeping tabs of this army. Twilight Council 10 seconds away from being completed. We are going to go into Immortals, Stalkers, Sentries, and Marines, Marauders with Stim about to come on or come up that ramp, and there are 2 medevacs in this group. There are some force fields possible. The medevacs may try to perhaps do a drop into this location, and we'll see what's going to happen as the factory now takes a round of attack from Stalkers and Sentries and does get pushed back. Observer still hiding from here. Not much that the Protoss can do. And now you see that the medevacs were, perhaps looking to feint and do a drop here, and deciding against it, as we now see the factory once again coming in. Factory just floating in between these 2 bases. Scanner sweep. I believe their Observer was taken out, so now no longer knows exactly where his opponent is, as the Sentries, Immortals, Stalkers, not the Immortals, just trying to shoot down this factory here. And now we could have an elevator up onto the high ground. No, just taking down one of those pylons as units finally make their way over. Stalkers, Hellions, no, Hellions, what am I talking about? I was thinking, do you... All right. Anyways, let's go into this. If you guys don't know what Hawk is asking about, he is asking about the Wednesday night StarCraft EG versus VVV Gaming. It is up on my channel along with Matrons. The game should be up there and ready. It looks like it is going to be a 2-prong attack. 2 medevacs, Marines and Marauders ready to go. A drop in the back, a drop in the front. Force fields two of them not going to be enough, as the Marines and Marauders are now making their way in, taking down some of these key buildings. Stalkers are going to get engaged as taken out, as some of those Stalkers are unable to fire. Meanwhile, Marines and Marauders have still been able to effectively deal a lot of damage, and now Marines, not much of this group has been destroyed. Only 2 Marines lost in this entire attack force. Meanwhile, the Marines and Marauders over here, some Marauders were able to make it up onto the high ground. Use of that factory, very effective. The force fields of the blue Protoss, not enough to really prevent these units from walking in. And now, what is this? This one medevac perhaps could have been shot down out of the sky, but it looks like it will be able to regroup and rejoin in on this army. More probes simply walking by, and Ladabaz should just be giving the GG here in just a moment. Taking down the Artosis pylon. Couple gateways have been unpowered now. All of these Marauders and Marines simply will retreat, and as soon as a new wave of reinforcements come in from Prodigy, which would be right about now, an attack force that Ladabaz cannot hold off will simply be able to walk inside this base. Factory will get destroyed in this engagement. We can see that an orbital command now establishing at the 3rd, as Ladabaz realizing the size of the army here and says GG. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening.